Arizona's premier live podcast studio and online radio.
Thank you for listening to Live the Dream Media.
Does your ordinary radio feel a little limited? If you're looking for a new way to listen, it's time for a fresh start. Introducing the Live the Dream Media app, your premier destination and a new level up for digital radio. Over the last 2 years, we've found new ways to ensure your digital radio experience is the best it can possibly be. From live podcasts that spark new perspectives to a 24/7 soundtrack of live music, and even our built-in merch store. We've built a platform that is convenient, high quality, and simple to navigate. But we're only just getting started. Catch all of our shows weekly and join the Live the Dream Media family today and help us change the airwaves forever. Download it for free on the App Store or Play Store today. Live the dream. The dream starts now.
Your favorite radio just got bigger, bolder, and better connected. Live the Dream Media is revolutionizing how you stay tuned in. With our explosive growth in online radio and our brand new mobile app, your entertainment goes wherever you do. Stream your favorite shows, discover new hits, and connect with audiences across the digital landscape, all at your fingertips. Advertisers don't miss out. Join our expanding digital network and reach engaged listeners across platforms. Download the Live the Dream Media app today and experience radio reimagined.
Thank you for tuning in to the Live the Dream Media Network. We've got an incredible slate of live podcasts waiting for you every week right here on our app. Get your morning started right with Wake Up, hosted by Christopher DeSimone, airing Monday through Friday from 6 to 9 a.m. The momentum continues every Monday morning at 9 with the Marana and Oro Valley Experience, hosted by David Samorano and Clint Peak, followed by Truth and Tell with Blair Lametti and Summer Smeaton at 10:30 a.m. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, join us at 9 a.m. for Southwest Flavor, and don't miss Sobriety, Spirituality, and Sales every Tuesday from 10 to 11 a.m. Every Wednesday at 9 a.m., Bruce Ash brings you the inside track, and we wrap up the week every Friday at 9 a.m. with former NBA player Bob Elliott on The Bob Elliott Show. It's all happening live every week.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Truth and Tell. Summers is back.
I'm back.
I know. Robbie was on last weekend and it kind of blew up, which is amazing. And it's so funny. So many, even people were writing, they're like, man, your husband's got balls. And I was like, well, he's got Jesus.
Yeah.
So, and I think I had people even asking me, how are you sitting across from him interviewing him about all of these things? And I could tell that the enemy was kind of like trying to hit, bringing back
Trigger
some
points,
stuff, definitely some trigger points, but I was so ease at it. And I've forgiven that man so much because I've given him 100% to God, that my trust in God is so much more than my fear of what could happen.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud of him. And like, he's not a speaker. Like, he's not someone to sit down and be able to tell his story. And I believe that God has really renewed his mind and his heart and has removed all of that shame. So he's able to speak, because we get all the time, how do I fix my marriage? How do I get my husband to love Jesus? How do I fix my husband? How do I not leave? I want this to stay. I want this to be fixed right now. And what people don't realize is that took years for him to go and fall to complete surrender to God. And at the exact same time, me having to do it as well.
Right.
And really having to trust God 100% and forgive God and forgive myself and forgive these women and forgive and forgive and forgive. And forgiveness sometimes has to be constantly done over and over again.
And I think Pastor Whalen said it perfectly yesterday when he said transformation is a process.
It is.
And, freedom is instant, when because of the power in the name of Jesus, when we declare Jesus' name over a situation, over our strongholds, over addiction, over oppression, we instantly are given freedom.
Yeah.
Because his name, his blood is that powerful. It has conquered the enemy.
Yeah.
But then we receive the freedom instantaneously, but then it's a whole process to walk it out, to protect it, and to transform and consistently progress and transform. It's a whole journey. It's a process.
It is. And we were talking, it was so cool because at the Bible study, she brought you and Robbie on. And
which were two very heavy.
It was.
testimonies.
I was like, we don't need to talk about anything else.
My husband was like, oh my gosh, those were like two heavy hitters.
Heavy hitters.
Night.
And I feel, knowing Deb, it was purposefully done because we're sitting, we're talking about rooted, we're talking about serving, and you think that serving sometimes has to be about getting your feet on the ground and taking care of somebody, but this is a different version of washing the feet.
Yeah.
This is, I'm dirty, you're dirty, I want to clean you. But in the case of Jesus, he was clean and wanted to wash away what was dirty.
Yeah.
And to have someone, it's Jesus, who we're supposed to serve. Serving us is what he does all the time. It's not us who choose him. It's he who's chosen us.
Yeah.
And to really understand how big that is, that why go through it if you don't keep the wounds closed?
Yeah.
Because your wound is open and you may have created that wound. Somebody else has maybe created that wound. But then you go and you do the work and you sit there with Jesus and he heals you. But then the enemy tries to undo one stitch at a time. And if you let him, you can just fall right back into it. All that pain, all that struggle, all that chaos, anxiety just gets opened back up again. So you do have to fight to keep that wound closed through Jesus and Jesus alone.
Yeah.
And you've been through it. I mean, when I talk about these heavy hitters, and we've talked to you, Summers, about one of the hardest days of your entire life, which is losing your son. But we have not talked in detail about the trials that you've always had.
Yeah.
And I want to start from the beginning.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's start from the beginning because you were born and raised in a pretty heavy duty church.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me what that walk looks like.
Yeah. I think that my circle now.
I'm going to throw this on live real quick because it didn't go through.
Oh,
but
okay.
Keep coming,
do what you have to do. I think that as of late, my story, my testimony, like the most prominent forefront glorification of Jesus and who he can be to us has been, experiencing the loss of Shiloh.
Yeah.
And, as you said, I have a very colorful past.
I like to call it layered.
It is very layered.
Layered.
Yes. I have lots of tools in my tool belt.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, that kind of has been put a little bit more on the back side of things just because the current thing has been, the loss of Shiloh, which is significant and huge. And it's just, it's a part of our life now.
Yeah.
But, on Thursday, what I was sharing is I do come from I am a 5th generation believer, which, does not mean perfection at all. There were still broken areas because I come from, we're all broken.
Yeah.
And parents who are trying to do better than their parents who were broken. And, so it's no perfection at all.
Yeah.
My mom was a pregnant teenager, teen pregnancy, and she was actually going to abort me. Just because, she was young and didn't know what to do and scared. And, oh my gosh, my parents are leaders and serving in the church and teachers. And, I'm going to bring shame on our family. And so just that, from the get-go, that shame from the enemy. And, thankfully, she actually went in for the day of the procedure, and just the Holy Spirit was just working on her. And she's like, I cannot do this, and turned around and walked out. And, because my grandparents were so heavily involved in church when I was hidden for 6 months. So she was not eating. She was trying to hide it the best that she could. And when it came to light, my grandma's response was, well, you need to stop going to church. Because how would that look? We're church elders and teachers and, we're so involved, and we have a pregnant teenage daughter. Yeah. Then that makes it look like our home is not in order. So what business do we have leading in the church?
Yeah.
And so,
which is so sad.
It just fortified
so
that
sad.
I should feel shame.
Yeah.
I should feel guilt. I should feel embarrassment. And so as a result of that, my mom parented me under that heaviness, that weight of shame. And so I just felt very, I knew my mom loved me, but it was a word thing. It was a head knowledge. I didn't feel it because she was so militant and just under the oppression of shame.
Yeah.
That she was just she wasn't nurturing.
Well, because I'm thinking of how she felt that she couldn't, because if she loved you, then it was somehow agreeing on the sin that happened.
Exactly.
It just breaks my heart.
Yeah, exactly. And so, she married my dad when I was ready to turn 3, who isn't my biological father, but that is my dad. I don't consider him, less than. That is the man who helped raise me. That is my dad. And so my dad and my mom together have 2 sons, my brothers, which I don't look at them as half brothers. Those are my siblings. Those are my brothers. I grew up with them. But I did see the difference in her parenting them versus me.
Did you know he was not your dad?
I didn't. I had speculations, like there were some timelines that didn't really match to me. But I didn't know until I want to say my 12th birthday is when they sat me down and just kind of confirmed the thoughts that I had.
Yeah.
Which was like a dagger to me, because it's like, oh, I knew this, and that explains everything, why I feel different, and
Yeah.
And so
this is why.
Yeah.
This is the answer to all of those insecurities and feelings.
Yeah. And so, just seeing her parent my brothers was different than me, because she could do it under, I did it right this time. I did it within the covenant of marriage. And so there was that freedom and that nurturing. And so, the enemy, being a dog, took that and warped my perspective, because it had nothing to do with my mom's love. My mom didn't love me any less. She was just under the burden of shame.
Yeah.
That stronghold. And so, the enemy took that and twisted, because that's what he'll do. He'll twist our perspective of things, and started speaking to me at a young age. You see, she loves your brothers, but she doesn't love you. And so that just really took root.
Yeah. And,
she doesn't love you. She loves them. She doesn't love you. If your own mom doesn't love you, who's going to love you? And so, these, as a 6, 7, 8-year-old, just thinking these things. And, I shared with the group, I remember I was 6 or 7 years old, and that was the first time that I heard the voice of the enemy telling me to kill myself. And, I remember it so vividly. We were at the time, we did like small groups, and we were at a friend's house, and all the adults were inside doing their Bible study or whatever it was that they did, and all the kids were in the backyard playing. And I remember I was on the swing and I was watching all the kids and I was by myself, which wasn't uncommon. I'm more of an introvert and just shy, and I'll watch, until I feel comfortable. Then I'll let loose a little bit. But that's kind of always been my personality. And so I was by myself on the swing and I'm watching all these kids interact. And, they're feeling like I'm on the outskirts, which was just another fortification of nobody even likes you.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to play with you.
You're creating your own truth.
Yeah. And the voice of the enemy just telling me, you see, your mom doesn't love you. Nobody plays with you. You have no friends. Kill yourself.
Ugh.
Nobody's going to care if you're here or not.
And you were so young.
I was so young. And so that was just that suicidal ideation just started at such a young age. And I would go into my parents' bathroom and I would lock the door and I would stare in the mirror and tell myself how ugly I was and how much I hated myself. And I would hit myself and I would punch myself. I would punch myself in the face.
Oh.
I would punch myself in the stomach and on my legs. And then I would take like sharp objects and I would start like piercing my skin and cutting and doing it in an inconspicuous place. Because, deep down inside, I knew that it was going against what I should be, how I should feel about myself. But, you're young and you don't know how to vocalize and express. And, I wasn't a very expressive kid either. So I let everything just kind of pile up and never expressed anything, never shared. And that's why, if you have children who are vocal and like, I'm angry or I feel bad or I hate myself, like, thank God for expressive children.
Yeah.
So that you can know where they're at. And, I was always the quiet one. And so because I was so quiet and I came across as together, my mom just always thought, well, she's a quiet kid and so she's fine. Like I never have to worry about Summers.
Yeah.
Because she's obedient, and not that I was perfect, of course I disobeyed at times, but, just very like respectful. I didn't talk back. And just, she was like, I don't have to worry about Summers. And so
you knew how to hide it well.
Yeah. But inside I'm like, I'm dying.
Yeah.
And I want to be dead. I want to be done. And so fast forward, something that I actually didn't share Thursday was when I was 16, I was raped. I was sexually assaulted. And at the time that it happened, we were kind of in between churches. And, I thought that I deserved it. I thought that I deserved it because I wasn't pursuing God. I wasn't chasing God. And so my perspective of God was just very warped, going back to my biological father. And like, okay, well, I have a mom who didn't want me. I have a dad, a biological father who wanted nothing to do with me. So just that rejection and abandonment.
Yeah.
So, I looked at God and my mom was a very angry person. Her testimony is amazing in itself, and just the transformation that I've seen throughout the decades in her gives me hope, because it's like, you don't have to stay in your ways.
Yeah.
You can change. You can change things about yourself. You don't have to, you don't have to say, well, I'm just an angry person.
Like anytime you say, this is just who I am.
Yeah.
Who told you that?
Right.
Who made you believe that?
Yeah. And so I always had that example of my mom, even in her brokenness and mishaps and misparenting and doing things out of anger. One of the things that she was always great about was coming back and saying, I'm wrong. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that. Please forgive me. And then seeing change. And it wasn't immediate, it was that transformation, that process, that journey.
Because you guys are so close.
Yeah. Now we're close. And, growing up, our relationship was always strained.
Yeah.
And so, when this happened at 16, I just thought, well, I deserved it because I'm not, God is a God who he's a God of judgment. And he's just a God who's ready to discipline you. As soon as you misstep, as soon as you do something wrong, you're going to be punished.
Did you let anybody know about this?
I didn't say anything for months because I was I thought I deserved it. And I was embarrassed, especially because, after the initial struggle, I just kind of like, well, my mind went, I just remember disconnecting. And I was like, well, I brought this on myself. God is letting this happen because I haven't been praying. I haven't been reading my Bible. I haven't been going to church. And so I just like let it. And so, I was embarrassed about that.
Yeah.
So, I just kind of suppressed it, didn't share it with anyone. I ended up telling a friend who thankfully told their parents, who then reached out to my parents. And, we filed a whole police report and they found the person, but months had passed. So it became his word against her word. So, not much happened with that.
Also reconfirming that no justice is done.
Yeah. And so, fast forward, I graduated high school and went to Bible school in Florida. Graduated there, and I had these thoughts and these struggles that started when I was a teenager. That I thought that Bible school was going to just wash it all away. And
because now you're doing the work. Now you're in it.
Yeah,
okay, this should be renewing of my mind.
Right. And, that just showed me that how little it is by works. We become transformed. We become renewed, not by our servitude, not by service, but by I take captive my thoughts. Lord, I give you these thoughts. Where are these coming from? Help me. What should I be thinking? What does your word say about this? And, the struggle that I was sharing that I've had since, a teenager was same-sex attraction.
Which I don't think anybody has known that yet.
No, I haven't shared that on here. I've been pretty open, with small groups and, women's groups and stuff because, it's just when I talk about it, I don't feel like it's me anymore. Yeah. It feels like I'm talking about somebody else.
That's what Robbie says. And I think the scariest thing is the people will judge just who they are. And I don't think they understand when somebody is changed and working on it, they're doing the tools to do everything to change.
Yeah.
So sometimes you guys are being so vulnerable with what your story is. So I think it's amazing.
Thank you. And so, I think because of growing up in church and just, heavily involved in youth groups and.
So a shame that you're similar to what your mom went through.
Oh, I know.
So something you both, were struggling totally different.
Right.
But the shame. You weren't able to talk about it.
Yeah. And just feeling like, especially in that time, at church, in youth groups and young adults, we didn't talk about it. We didn't talk about suicidal thoughts and depression and same-sex attraction. We would brush over it or dismiss it and kind of sweep it under the rug.
You're the same age as I am. It was purity time.
Yes.
It was don't kiss till marriage. No sex. If you're having it, you put that fake ring, the purity ring, you're going to hell.
Yeah.
If you kissed a boy.
So how much more? Wait a minute. Why am I attractive? Why do I find that woman attractive? So why am I going to take that thought to somebody when we're hearing abstinence, purity, and we're not talking about, okay, wait, there could be some who see somebody of the same sex and there's an attraction. And so, when my mind would go there, because I knew that it was not right, it was abnormal. That's not how God created. I would suppress it. I would feel embarrassed and shame and just like, I'm going to put that way back there so that it doesn't come to the forefront. I didn't know how to handle it. And so, I thought going to Bible school was going to just fix it.
Yeah.
And, of course, because I was so involved, I was distracted for sure. And not that thoughts wouldn't pop up every now and then, but, I was distracted because of the schoolwork and just, we would do evangelism on Friday nights and just going to revival service after revival service, so my mind was constantly fixated on the things of God. So I didn't really have that liberty or that time to feed into that same-sex thing. And so then when I graduated, my my third semester in Bible school, my roommate took me to Michigan on a fall break, and that's how I met my husband, Chad. And so after I graduated, I ended up moving to Michigan because I wanted to get into the medical field. And I was going to do my, oh my gosh, what are they called?
Residency?
Prerequisites there, and then try and get into medical school. And so then that's when I met Chad, and, we started forming this friendship, and, very quickly, I just started thinking, okay, this is, he's a great friend. He's a good guy. I see how he treats his mom, and, just a lot of things, attractive things about him. And so our friendship kind of moved from friendship into, we started dating, and we got engaged very quickly and married within less of a year from the time we started dating. And, I thought, too, that was going to just kind of set me on the straight and narrow.
I'm doing all the things.
I'm doing all the things.
Yeah.
I'm getting married, and, we'll have a family, and this is going to fix these broken thought processes in me. And so, we get married, and we have 4 children. We had Cadence right away on birth control. We hadn't even celebrated a year. It was a week before our year anniversary that I had her. And, so we started this family right away. And I just remember, these thoughts were still popping up. And I didn't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
And it didn't make sense because it's like, God, went to Bible school. I got married. I'm a mom and a wife.
I'm doing all the things.
I'm doing the things. Why is this still here? What is wrong with me? What kind of Christian am I? I must not. I'm so broken and messed up. And so shortly into our marriage, before I even had the last 2 children, I had Cadence and Shiloh. A friend of mine, we just kind of opened that door and were experimenting.
Yeah.
And at the time, we were both serving in young adults at our church. And so there was, of course, that battle of the conviction and the hypocrisy and then the shame and just what are you doing? And
you kind of have to go when you're in that world, which foot am I going to lean on more?
Yeah.
Because you can't, one will lean more than the other.
Right. And so that was my first encounter.
Yeah.
I was 27.
Okay. So you're married.
I'm married, 2 kids.
Opened up the door now to a really good friend and started.
Because I felt safe, I could share that.
Yeah.
And obviously there was a curiosity on her end too. And, very similar story, broken, how she grew up. And so, it shows me how the enemy will use just our brokenness and growing up. When we don't give it all to the Lord, he will use those tender spots, those weak points to bring in strongholds and to bring in.
And they jump.
Yeah.
It is, sin is contagious.
Yeah.
When you have doors open.
Yeah.
When it's been planted, it's curiosity, and now there's action.
Right. And so,
and no one to talk to about it.
I know. So we're just, both and because we knew, and it's we are hypocrites, we cannot be doing this. And just that struggle. And, it was probably, I don't know, maybe 8 months or so. I would have to really go and think about the timeline. But it was months that this was going on, on and off, because it's okay, God help me, to not go back there. And then,
just make it go away.
Yeah.
And Chad doesn't know about it yet, right?
No, Chad didn't know yet. And so then finally, I opened up to him about what was going on. And of course, he was just the place that he was in at the time, resentment of where we were living. We were living in Phoenix at the time. And what I had did before opening that door is I had put serving in the church above my family, above Chad, above the kids. And it was all about serving. And so, there's an order: God, your husband or your wife, and then your children, then serving. and work, and so that was all out of whack.
Yeah.
And so I attributed my relationship with God, like I'm a good Christian if every Tuesday and Wednesday and Sunday I'm at church doing all the church things, serving. And so that created a bunch of tension and friction in my marriage because then, this man was working his butt off trying to provide for us and working 6 days a week. And sometimes his only day off was Sunday. And I would get mad at him. Why aren't you in church? And so we were just causing. And then he was like, my God, it's my one day off. Like, I can miss church. And I'm thinking, no, being so judgy and critical, where's your love for God? Like, if you love God, then your butt is going to be at church on Sunday.
You think you were projecting?
Oh, yeah. Well, so this had happened. So this had all kind of happened before I opened that door. And then once I opened that door, then having to go and, tell Chad, I'm in a bad way. And, I don't know what to do. And I know it needs to stop. And so this whole thing, because we weren't seeking help, because the other added layer to this is she was also married. So I'm having an affair and I'm causing somebody else to have an affair.
Yeah.
So it was like all this weight of wrong after wrong after wrong, poor decision, bad choice after bad choice. And, thank God in his loving kindness, it got exposed because he knew I wasn't going to expose it. I wasn't going to go to church leadership and, I'm serving in young adults. But this is what I'm doing because the shame was just too prominent. Like, there was no way I could do that.
Well, in the Christian
and no one
world
would
too.
understand.
Yeah, it's just very,
they're not
that's the biggest taboo.
Yes. I'm not going to understand. And so, God in his loving kindness exposed it and it came out. And of course, there was I helped wreck somebody's marriage. And so then, they have to disconnect and go do what they have to do to repair their marriage. And then Chad and I were left in ours. And how do we fix this? How do we come back from this? How do we heal this? And, the very church that we had served, blood, sweat, and tears. After it got exposed, Chad and I went to church that Sunday because I knew I needed Jesus. I knew I needed community. I knew I needed it. And I didn't want to go because I was embarrassed and everyone was going to know. But I knew I had to go. And this is my church.
Yeah.
And Blair, when we went, it was like I didn't exist. It was like I had the red letter A on my forehead. And I remember going to the altar during praise and worship. And I was at the altar on my knees and just broken and embarrassed. And like, God, I'm here. I showed up. Help me. Like, I don't want to be like this. I don't want to live my life like this. Nobody came up to me. And we'd been there probably almost a decade serving in that church.
You know what God's doing at that time, seeing that somebody is coming up on their knees, broken, asking for prayer, and you as believers in a church that somebody's coming to you vulnerable and naked, you turn your back on them.
Yeah.
Nothing hurts God more. Not the sinner, the people who are supposed to be there to help the sinner through.
Yeah, like that was the time that we needed people to come and embrace us and speak life into us and counsel us. Yeah. Like, hey, let's get you in counseling.
Yeah.
Let's figure
pray
something
for
else.
you.
Yeah, let's help you in this walk because Summers, you can be transformed.
Absolutely.
This isn't who you are. I needed somebody to say, this isn't who you are.
Yeah.
Because I had opened a door to confusion. And so I was trying to fight that on my own. And, that was the last time that we stepped foot in that church. And we ended up finding another church to go to.
Shame on them.
But, about a year or so, a few years later, I had ended up hearing that one of the senior pastors, when they caught wind of it and everything was exposed, they said, "Oh, I knew that. I saw that about her." If you saw that struggle, if you sincerely saw and the Holy Spirit showed you, hey, this person is broken and this is where her mind is going. There's a curiosity for something that is not natural. Then you should have come up to me. You should have opened that door of communication and say, hey, the Lord has showed me this. How can I help you?
Yeah.
How can I help you know that that's not where your mind has to, if this is accurate, that's not where your mind has to stay. You don't have to build a home there. You don't have to live there.
Yeah.
That's what I needed. And so, to hear that, I'm just like, are you freaking kidding me? You saw that, supposedly, give them the benefit of the doubt that they're being honest. So you saw this. The Lord revealed that to you, and you didn't do anything with it? And you let me drown?
Yeah. It's gross.
And so that just kind of fortified, like, okay, this is something we don't talk about in the church. We are not equipped.
When you hear it, this is a sin and you're going to hell and all of the condemnation.
Yeah.
But you never hear, hey, how can I help you?
Mm-hmm.
How can I pray for you? How can I love you?
Yeah.
On the opposite end of not saying, condoning and saying, well, love is love and agreeing to it.
Right.
It's a really fine line.
Yeah.
But man, sometimes people just need to talk about it without the shame.
Yeah.
And you come in with prayer and scripture and a team of how do we get through this? Because this is a lie.
Right. Yes.
And who told you?
Yeah. Yeah. And so, like I said, we never stepped foot in that church again. We found another place to worship, and just so broken in our marriage, just in disarray and just the resentment, and trying to get things back on track. And I feel like there were steps of progress, and I ended up getting pregnant with Zion, our third. And then we were going to move to Michigan.
Are you getting any counseling or help at all at this time?
No.
So you're just stuffing it down.
We're trying to deal with it ourselves.
Okay.
Yeah. Especially after that experience. I think that experience, going to church that Sunday, knowing that I needed.
Yeah.
And the
all your fears coming true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just like, okay, we're just going to handle this ourselves, because obviously, I should be ashamed, and, just it fortified all those thoughts. And so we moved to Michigan. I have Zion and Haven, and, at the time I was doing pretty well. I was doing well in the sense of pushing it in the way back, and just, willing it. Self-will. I'm not going to let myself go there. And, trying to find, a home church there. And, that's always hard when trying to find a church when you move somewhere, and finding some place that, has a good balance of, the word and, good worship. And so we were just kind of, church shopping. And there was one church in particular that we really liked, that we would keep coming back to. And, we'd gone a few years of, just being a family, trying to do the right thing, the God thing, getting us in church. And I wasn't necessarily involved anymore. I think, if I'm honest, I had the church hurt from.
Yeah, it's a pretty big wound.
Yeah. From the last church that we were serving, and I got excommunicated. So
I can't with some churches. I can't with some people. I just can't.
It was like an excommunication.
Oh, I know. I see it all the time.
Yeah.
I see it all the time.
So, I wasn't ready to just jump in and serve.
No.
And I wasn't healed too.
Yeah. And that's
In that sense.
that's hard too, right? Because to be a leader and to be where people are looking for help, you've got to clear a lot of those things.
Yeah.
It's not saying you need to be perfect because none of us are, but you do have to be vulnerable and clear out what you're struggling with.
And, I do believe that serving is a segue. It is a path to healing. You don't have to be, we're not fully healed until we get to heaven.
Yeah.
But I wasn't there yet because I wasn't talking about the thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, why would you? You've just been completely shut down.
So that's what I mean by
removed.
Not healed yet to serve. I don't want to misconstrue that. We can be broken in serving, but there has to be that willingness to talk about the things, to expose the things.
Yeah.
Talk about the struggles and be vulnerable and transparent and honest. And as long as we are vulnerable and transparent and honest about those root issues, about those strongholds, those things, those mindsets, that doesn't mean we can't serve. We should be serving.
Yeah.
Because then it's in that God brings more, continual freedom and healing.
Yeah, because where else are you going to go? You're just going to dive right into where the world is trying to heal you, and it's not going to be healing.
Right.
So where else are people supposed to go if it can't be in the church?
Yeah. And so, fast forward to 2013, I had a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 7-year-old.
That's a lot.
So, yeah.
I understand.
And my grandma, suddenly she had a stroke and was in the ICU. She was living in Phoenix at the time. And my grandma, the backstory on that, she was kind of my safe place because my mom, my relationship with my mom wasn't good. It wasn't great. I was scared of my mom. And so grandma was my safe place. And grandma, I lived with her over the summers, and I lived with her during my 8th grade year. She was just, my grandma was like a mom. She was like my second mom. She was my safe place. And my grandma is the one who helped build a foundation of prayer and just devotion. Like this is as a believer, this is what our relationship with Jesus should look like. This is how we start our day. This is what meditating on the word looks like. This is what prayer looks like. And my grandma was so intertwined with the Holy Spirit that we would be driving and all of a sudden she'd start speaking in tongues. And I was so used to it. It was so normal. To anyone else, it'd be like, what the heck is this lady on? But it was just grandma.
Yeah.
And so she showed me, oh, that's what Paul's talking about. I consistently pray. I'm always praying. I'm always in communication. And I saw that. Like I saw that in real life, what that looked like.
Yeah.
And so, I hope that I can normalize that and that my kids and my kids' kids are like, oh, it's just my mom.
Yeah.
She's praying or whatever. And so, I had this great example of that, of a praying woman, of a, devotion unto the Lord and what that looked like. And so I attribute a lot of that to my grandma and what she showed me. And so when I got word that she had a stroke and was on a ventilator, I was on a flight the next day. And I actually showed up before her kids. I was the first one there because she was like my mom. I was like my mama. And so, I went in with full faith, full throttle, and just, okay, God, you are going to heal her brain. Any damage, she's not going to have any signs of a stroke. She's going to be able to move and walk. You're going to do the miracle because you are going to use this to show people in our family who are away from you right now that you are God and you do reign. And long story short, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And so when it didn't happen, I was hurt. I looked at my own faith and I just thought, okay, well, my faith sucks then. I must not even have faith of a mustard seed.
You blamed yourself again.
Yeah.
You do a lot of self-blaming.
Yeah. And so then I was like, what am I even doing? Like, if I couldn't even, I thought this was going to happen. I had the faith. It didn't happen. And so I'm a crappy Christian. Like, my faith is crappy. And then I got so mad at God. And, it wasn't very long after that she passed that I just threw the towel. I threw in the towel and threw my hands up and my faith sucks. I'm a terrible Christian. If I look back at decisions that I made, choices that I've made, it shows that, because look, 3 years ago, I was pushing the boundaries and opened up this relationship with a woman. What kind of Christian does that? Mm. And so I just, I got mad and just walked away, and I was done. I was done with this faith thing. I was done with this walk with Jesus because my faith sucked. I wasn't a good Christian. I was so troubled. And what good Christian suffers with depression? Mm. What good Christian has suicidal thoughts? Like, I just thought, I am so messed up. These are things like, my God, I know Jesus. I should have joy. The joy of the Lord is my strength. Okay, well, why do I feel like I don't want to get out of bed? Mm-hmm. Because I'm so depressed. I don't want to get ready. I don't want to do anything. If I can stay in bed all day and sleep, because if I'm sleeping, then I'm not making stupid decisions. If I'm sleeping, then I'm not dealing with the pain of rejection and abandonment. Mm-hmm. If I'm sleeping, then, that doesn't give me I can't be tempted with things that I'm struggling in my mind, things that shouldn't even be there, because what good Christian would have those thoughts? And so I was just done. And so it didn't take long for me to open that door for living a lifestyle of lesbianism. Mm-hmm. And trying to balance this lifestyle and shielding my children. And I was done in my marriage because once I opened that door again, all the way, full throttle, before it was just kind of like testing the waters. And now it was like, I just opened the door. Yeah. And once I did that and partnered and aligned myself with the confusion of the enemy, I was convinced, Blair, you couldn't tell me, because it felt so, see, that's what sin does. It will give you a fulfillment very temporarily, but that fulfillment and that pseudo happiness that I felt and contentment, because that's what sin will do, mm-hmm. to hook you. I was like, I have never felt so happy. Mm. I have never felt so fulfilled. All these years of praying and Bible and serving and this Christian thing, I've never felt this. So this must be it. Mm-hmm. I was always meant to be with another woman.
That's the truth. Everything else was a lie.
Yep. And so that's how I was living my life. And
why do you think that is? Why do you think it gave you a relief and release and joy?
Well, I think it wasn't true joy. It was a pseudo happiness.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it's because you were no longer lying or accepting that I think
lie? Part of it, there was like this freedom that came from it, because all of a sudden I wasn't hiding that struggle. Mm. And, you hear in the world, oh, be true to you.
Yeah.
Be who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a bunch of crap, because be who you are, we base it on worldly standards. Mm-hmm. Be who you are really is be who God has called you to be. And so it started with a lack of identity and knowing who I am. Mm-hmm. And a lack of revelation of who God wants to be for me. Mm. And so because of those two discrepancies and not knowing Ephesians 2:10 says we are the workmanship of him, chosen, purposed for good works. And that word workmanship comes from the Greek word poiema, and that means masterpiece. I didn't know that we serve a God who is, all-knowing, but before the foundations of the earth had me in mind and was going to skillfully craft me and call me good, and not just good, but very good, and put all these attributes of him, because all the good that is in us, the good attributes and personality traits and the talent and the skill are from him. It's little deposits of him in us. And I didn't know that this God that I was serving, when I would look at myself in the mirror at 6, 7, 8 years old and say, "You're ugly," that when I would make that statement, that it broke him. That he would hear me say that, and on his end, "Oh no, I've created you perfectly. You look exactly the way that I've designed and the way that I wanted. You have brown eyes and brown hair for a reason. You have the color skin you have because I see it, and you are beautiful. I've fearfully and wonderfully made you. You are my skill. All my talent has gone into you." And you're looking at yourself and you're calling yourself ugly. And you're looking at yourself and you're saying you hate yourself. When I love you, I love everything about you. I love that you're quiet and that you're a thinker and you're an observer. I love that you just put yourself on the outside to watch everyone and see how everyone interacts and then see where you can fit in. I love that about you. I love that you're quirky and that you have a stupid thing with even numbers. Like, I love that about you. I love that that you're a foodie and you're all about food. Like, you plan trips specifically on what foods you're going to try. Like, I love that about you.
Yeah.
I put those things in you. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that the God that we serve looks at us, and each and every one of us, he purposed. He gave me a purpose and said, "Summers, I have these works for you that only you can accomplish. There are these people that only you can speak into. There are these children I want you to mom. I want you to speak into their life. I want you to, this is your husband that I designed from before all time, that you are going to be his partner. And the weaknesses that are in him, I've given you the strength so that you can complement each other." That is the God that we serve. He is in such detail. We are his workmanship, his masterpiece. All of his talent and skill has gone into each and every one of us. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that he wanted a relationship with me more than anything. That he wants a relationship with all of us, that he's willing to create in hopes that we will choose him because he already chose us.
And all the people that are supposed to confirm that in you and make it help you remind yourself of that. Your mom, church after church, rejected you and made you feel not worthy. And not heard and not seen. And even when you were vulnerable, they shut you down. So now you've decided, screw this. I'm going all in to my sin. I'm opening up that door. I'm not cracking it open. I'm jumping through. And you're feeling joy for the first real time. Maybe just a relief from hiding.
Yeah.
Then what happens?
So, so I am legitimately living a lesbian lifestyle and convinced this is who I'm supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
This is who I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be with a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was very much of an emotional thing, and the nurture
Mm-hmm.
that I needed and yearned for as a little girl that I didn't get. And that's not to my mom's fault. She was in her own brokenness.
Yeah.
I was getting from a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where that whole, part of the thwarting of the enemy and the fulfillment and the nurturing. Like a woman is we're supposed to be nurturing, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to be caregivers and caring and a soft landing space.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of that I lacked and I didn't get from my mom, I found in this other person.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was meeting at all levels. It hit at every level. And, it played being assaulted.
Yeah.
That played a big role in just, the whole idea of sex,
Mm-hmm.
which God created
Yeah.
to be beautiful between a man and a woman.
Mm-hmm.
But between that and the no sex, the whole abstinence movement and sex is no, 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 and not ever really dealing with that trauma of the sexual abuse, men were just dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Men they abandon you, they reject you, and they hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I carried that into my marriage. And so in my marriage, sex was okay for procreation.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't for enjoyment. And so I was so warped with that. And so now this could be a safe place, a landing place, because this wasn't a man, this was a woman who wasn't going to abandon, who wasn't going to reject, and who isn't hard.
Mm-hmm.
They're safe. They're soft. They're not violent.
Yeah.
They're not just going to take.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't even know that we have enough time. We'll probably have to
I know. We'll have
finish
to
this,
go into
into part two. But that's kind of, where I was at in my headspace when I opened that door to that. And, next week we'll talk about just what that did, because, sin will take you farther and deeper than you ever anticipated. You will pay much more of a higher price than you ever thought that you would have to pay. And that is where I found myself, because it was like opening Pandora's box and just allowing all the gates, the floodgates of hell, to just intervene and have its way in my life.
Is there anything that anybody could have done to heal you at that moment from same-sex attraction?
I think I was so into it.
Yeah.
I was drowning in it.
Mm-hmm.
That, I had, before getting to that point, I had to do evil.
Mm-hmm.
I had to be evil, meaning that I had to go against what I knew was truth,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what the Word of God calls evil.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who knows the Word, who knows the way, and makes decisions, choices against that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to reject the Holy Spirit,
Mhm.
reject truth, and make the decision, I know what's truth, but now I'm going to open a door to try and align what I'm now living and make it right.
Which he does with every sin.
Yeah.
And the church just has this like step by step of which sins are worse
Yeah.
than the other.
Yeah, we categorize in sin as sin.
Yeah.
Anything that brings separation with God.
I mean,
And
last week.
that's where we get judgmental and critical.
And we need
And
to
let me
stop.
say this. I used to judge and criticize when I would, because, in the 90s, it started popping up, same-sex relationships. And I would criticize and judge that because deep inside, there was this thing, this attachment, like this curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true. Pride comes before the fall.
Yeah. So people are always like, that's homophobic. And you're like,
Yeah.
that's probably it.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So because we are going to do part 2.
Yeah.
Because this is just, we're not even into the middle
No,
yet.
no.
If there's a little girl going through the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
little girl, little boy, and they're struggling
Yeah.
right now,
Mm-hmm.
what would you tell them?
Well, I think if I was going to talk to myself, I would say, Summers, the thoughts, that curiosity of this same-sex attraction, there is not shame
Mm-hmm.
in that because the thought isn't what
Mm-hmm.
does you in, right? It's the giving in.
Mm-hmm.
And that there's hope. And just because the thought is there, it doesn't mean that's who you are.
Mm-hmm.
The enemy and the world is going to tell you, well, if you're thinking about it, then that's who you are.
Mm-hmm.
If you're thinking about it, if these thoughts pop up, then that's who you're supposed to be and to be true to yourself. But the enemy is real and he wants to confuse you. And so my advice to younger Summers is tell somebody,
Mm-hmm.
but not just anybody, not somebody with a worldly perspective. Go to someone who is a strong believer. Go to somebody who's safe. And if you don't know anyone who's safe, I have my Facebook. You can reach out to me via Messenger. I'm on Instagram. I would be more than happy to advise and to direct and to speak life and encouragement. But those thoughts, they are no different. You don't need to be ashamed, like especially if you're a believer and you're thinking about these things. You are not less than. You are not less of a Christian. It is no different than the Christian sitting next to you that wants to be an alcoholic and all they can think about is my next drink.
Yep.
It's no different.
Mm-hmm.
It is no different than the person who is a believer and who is judging the pastor.
Mm-hmm.
It is no different. And there is an open place. We need to talk about these things.
Yeah. Because we have no choice.
Yeah.
We have to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't sit there and tell everybody that has this that they're going to hell
Yeah.
without a lifeline.
Yeah. And you are loved.
So loved.
You are so loved. And God has, when we have these struggles, all the struggles, it just shows me the purpose and the intent that God has for our lives
Mm-hmm.
and how the enemy is scared.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to stunt you,
Yeah.
but you are loved.
And I think it's hard because, like, someone for me, right? I love so many of my friends,
Mhm.
and some of them are gay,
Yeah.
and they don't believe. They don't believe what I believe, and they'll ask me like, "Are you going to pray the gay away?" And it's so hard for me
Mm-hmm.
because I love them.
Yeah.
I love them so much, and I never want them to feel that I'm judging
Mhm.
their lifestyle. But I also know biblical truth.
Yeah.
So it's so hard because you can't confirm it and say this is what
Yeah.
Jesus is okay. Love is love.
Mhm.
But on the other end, I don't know if I'm equipped to tell somebody something I've never struggled with.
Yeah.
So you have struggled
Mhm.
with this, and you have such a loving heart and open room for communication in a loving way to understand them, where I feel I just want you to know Jesus and I love you.
Yeah.
But then at the other end, as Christians who are true Bible believers, the love without the confirming. If I'm sitting there telling you I'm really addicted and I really want to put a heroin in my, veins and because I love it, I absolutely love it. You would never confirm that for me.
Right.
You would never sit there and say, hey, I'm, pregnant and my life is going to be miserable without it. Like I feel I need an abortion. You would never confirm that for me. Oh, I'm struggling with pornography and I really want to cheat on my husband. You would never confirm that for me.
Yeah.
So it's hard because the world has said this lifestyle is so okay, but then on the other hand, I see so much pain in it. So, but I also see pain in marriages and I see pain in relationships and people. And I know we've got to go, but this is for us to continue because these are all the questions that I have sitting on this side of how do we move forward to help and love one another and not sit there with the pitchforks out, being ready to judge and walk away when somebody's asking for prayer.
Yeah. Well, if anyone is hearing this and knows someone or you yourself have struggled or are struggling, please reach out. I would love to be a voice of encouragement and a voice of understanding because I understand, I get it.
Yeah.
And the Lord hasn't given me freedom to be silent about it. He has given me freedom to share. This is how I did it. This is how I'm doing it.
Yeah. Because it's not like it goes away.
Yeah.
You have to actively, just like everything else. It's just like my husband said, he can no longer put himself in a position where it's at his freedom.
Right. Yep.
It is what it is. You have to put the boundaries up on your own.
Yeah.
When you know your weakness.
Yep.
Ooh, this is good. I can't wait for part 2. All right. Thanks, guys. This is Truth and Tell. We will be back